kind of tax issues are you much better off hiring a tax attorney for? Well, the one thing an attorney can bring you that nobody else can is the protections of being able to speak to you in a legal manner that will not create a witness in the person you're talking to. If you take the wrong issues to any other type of tax advisor, whatever you say to them can be compelled, even though they may have professional duties of confidence. The moment the government comes at you from a criminal perspective, anything you say to that person is fair game. They can be put on the witness stand whether they want to testify or not. They can face jail time if they don't cooperate. They can face daily fines until they do cooperate. The second thing, and the most important thing, is most preparers will bury you in a heartbeat to protect their own reputation. Real question in their mind is, did the preparer aid and abet income tax evasion? Are they part of the problem or are they part of the solution? If there's any chance whatsoever your preparer can throw you under the bus to protect themselves, really don't want to be using that preparer to represent you in an audit or a criminal tax investigation. If the government is asking questions about your income, about your record, or more importantly, about your intent, they're trying to get into what you were thinking when you signed on the dotted line, really can't hide behind your preparer and say, I didn't know all these problems were there. Well, if you hire me, you get someone who's an attorney, a CPA, and has a master's in tax all at the same time. And I bring a dream team to work for you. Everybody that works for me is working for a law firm. So, when criminal tax exposure is on the table and you find yourself under audit or there's any type of an investigation into your tax filing, stay away from the original preparer. You should not let your preparer, your bookkeeper, your CFO, anybody that works for you, speak on your behalf. If you're ever contacted by anybody, IRS, Criminal Investigation Division, or a similar state agency, you need a tax attorney. CI loves to catch you unprepared. They've already been investigating you for 2 years before they ever approach you, or longer. They already know the answer to every question they're going to ask. Frankly, they don't need to talk to you to prosecute you. What they're hoping you'll do is try and talk your way out of it and lie. They are not there to help you fix it. A lot of times they'll come off with, I'm sure we just have a misunderstanding here. Talk to me a little bit and maybe I can make this go away. Don't buy it. If they give you a Miranda warning that reads something like everything you say can be used against you in a subsequent criminal tax prosecution, you have nothing to say at that point. You identify yourself, you say, hey, I'm happy to talk to you, but not until my tax attorney is present. Call me. I'll be there. If you know for a fact you've cheated on your taxes and you find yourself under audit and you're fearful that if you answer the auditor's questions, incriminate yourself, you need to be talking to me, not the original preparer. You might even be dealing with a reverse eggshell audit where the Criminal Investigation Division of the IRS, instead of approaching you as I earlier described, a civil auditor start the process so that you don't lawyer up. Also look out for in a civil audit where you think they might have brought a fraud technical advisor into the case. Earlier, I used the term badges of fraud. Badges of fraud are things the government has identified that run with fraud they find in clients' fact patterns. Things like keeping a double set of books, producing fabricated invoicing, unexplained cash deposits, circular related party cash flows, a pattern of cleaned up returns through amended returns where there's a huge addition of additional taxable income. If you have offshore, if you have cross-border merchant accounts that haven't been reported, if you have digital asset issues like unreported cryptocurrency disposals, unreported staking mining income, if you have employment-related tax pyramiding, that's a potentially criminal issue. You shouldn't be talking to anybody else than a criminal tax defense attorney, which is really what I am. If they're proposing to hit you with the trust fund recovery penalty, you're facing a TURP interview. That's both civil and criminal exposure simultaneously. Don't trust it to anybody who's not trained or experienced for it. Bottom line is there are reasons why all of a sudden you have to get back into compliance. You have to go back and amend your returns. Well, the simple act of amending a return can be viewed as a criminal admission of itself. It doesn't take a genius to compare the original return to the amended return and ask, why did these change? There is a program out there that I could put you into, and really only a tax attorney should do it, where we actually make an admission to the government on the way in that you committed tax fraud. We do that in exchange for a pass on criminal prosecution. We submit a Form 14457 pre-clearance for the program. After that, we're going to get you a civil resolution path that minimizes tax penalties and interest, all the while protecting you against an IRS criminal tax investigation. There will be a subsequent audit. The last thing you want is to be caught cheating in the process of getting clean. About 75% of the cases we take on are purely civil. There's no criminal undertones to it, but people still hire us when they want a bazooka instead of a slingshot. What better way to go into it with the very guy that, if you don't get the results you're looking for in the audit, will file a tax court petition and then bail you out in tax court. I've litigated hundreds of times in the last 15 years. I've never stepped foot in tax court. Why? Because if the law and the facts are on your side, the IRS appeals office has a 95% settlement rate, at least in our case. They settle. We don't actually have to litigate. When we're involved with an audit, we like to replicate the work product of the average auditor. We go looking for compliance issues. We reconcile your books back to bank activity. We make sure your information returns make sense. We handle any documentation gaps. We control IDRs, and we, most importantly, control IRS interviews. If you've got a large LBNI case or one of the campaign audits that you're dealing with, if you're a corporation, a partnership with significant assets, if you have complex cross-border transactions, if you have transfer pricing issues, foreign tax credit issues, if your audit spans multiple years and entities, we manage IRS issue selection, scope creep, and closing strategies. If you're facing a partnership examination, government can assess the partnership itself for any audit adjustments it deems necessary. And then the partners are left fighting as to who's going to pay those. We quarterback the partnership representation role, we make the right elections on time, and we keep adjustments from ricocheting through tiered structures. If you find yourself hit with a very large penalty, and you feel there's good grounds to push back on that and request penalty abatement, we can help. What do you do when you miss a deadline? If you're facing an appeal and litigation, if you've got a 30-day letter that you haven't been able to resolve within 30 days, if you're expecting a 90-day letter, we can advise on when it makes sense to file a tax court petition. This firm has never lost in litigation. I don't take on a case where the law and the facts aren't on my client's side, and I believe I can prevail. Most of the time I tell a client, you're going to lose, and it's going to cost you money to find out you're going to lose. I'm doing them a service when I do that. I do not take on tax litigation to make a buck unless I can win. Yeah, that's how I make my living, but I'm much more about getting justice for my client. If you recently received a letter in the mail where the government is basically telling you, hey, we know you have unreported cryptocurrency transactions, there's a way to handle that. Okay, if you just amend returns, it's potentially possible that you're making a criminal admission. We routinely use voluntary disclosure programs to bring people back into compliance. We reconcile wallets, we look at DeFi, we look at staking, mining, and most of all, we keep cryptocurrency matters purely civil and accurate. Another thing our firm excels at is anticipating transitory problems across regulatory agency. If you have a federal compliance issue, it's rarely just a federal issue. Matter of fact, the state of California and most states share information with the IRS. They share data with the IRS and with each other. Call us if you see any of the following fact patterns.